Today's story starts with a terrible car accident and a young teenager who didn't wake up, who was unconscious for 10 days following that accident. And when he did decide to wake up, in his words, he decided also that he was not going to take the limiting diagnosis of the doctors and the medical care providers who said he was going to not have function of the lower half of his body for the rest of his life. But looking for answers and asking again and again takes a lot of courage, and thankfully he looked in one more place to find answers and to get his life back, and then he dedicated his life to giving that gift to others. Hi, I'm Jenna Quentin, founder of Adjust Your Media and host of What Chiropractic Doesn't Cure, Stories of Innate podcast. And this is a really key episode because we're talking about a lot of very serious high-stress things. High stress from a physical trauma, a car accident, but also the high stress of being in a war zone and the effect of that stress on the body, and where we can find some help and healing to get back to the innate power that lives in us. So I'm excited for you to share this story. Today on What Chiropractic Doesn't Cure, Stories of Innate, I have a special guest, Dr. Ronen Mendi from Israel. Welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me here.
Yes. So how long have you been a chiropractor?
I'm a chiropractor for 27 years.
Wonderful.
And it's actually, this was the kind of the dream of my childhood.
I love that. So, as we always do, I would love for you to share about someone whose life got better with chiropractic care.
Well, first, like the way that I got to chiropractic, and I was injured in a very bad car accident 47 years ago, and I lost my consciousness for 10 days. And the doctors already wrote in my medical file that they want to declare clinical death.
Wow.
So that was that was the first time where I didn't like what the medical doctor said. So I decided to wake up.
Okay.
So, and then later on, they said that I was hurt so badly in my back, so I'm going to be invalid from the waist down, and there's nothing they can do. Actually, I begged for them for a surgery that they will take out the pain. But they said that my condition is so bad that they are not willing to touch me. So I went, to second opinion, third opinion, and I don't have enough fingers. And then at the end, a pediatrician in the other side of the country saw my x-rays, and he said, well, that's what medicine knows. And you can continue to go to more doctors, but that's all they will tell you.
Mm-hmm.
But fortunately for me, at that time, there was a chiropractor who came to Israel. And this pediatrician sent me to the chiropractor.
Okay.
He said, maybe the chiropractor knows something else that we don't know. So I went to this chiropractor. And actually, at the beginning, I didn't even want to go to the chiropractor because I did not want to hear from another expert that there's nothing they can do.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end, I suffered so much, so I went to the chiropractor, and he actually gave my life back to me as a present. That's what I thought after he adjusted me. And at that time, my second thought was, I want to give this present to others. So at the age of 14 and a half, I decided that I want to become a chiropractor.
Wow.
But I did not know exactly what it is. And there was, beside knowing that this chiropractor saved my life, I had nobody to ask because this chiropractor spoke English. My English was not even as good as today, and today I can work on it as well. So anyway, I didn't know what to do, and so I finished high school, and I went to the army, and I was a paramedic officer in the army, which gave me a different direction. And then after the army, I went to Parker in Dallas, Texas, and became a chiropractor.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my life story, and I think it's very encouraging.
It is. It is, because you're talking about as a teenager at such a critical moment in your life to be so badly hurt, and just the trajectory of your life could have been in multiple directions before the car accident, after. And you said some really good things. You said maybe this chiropractor knows something else that we don't. What do you think it was that the chiropractor knew that the medical doctors didn't?
Well, this is a whole another chapter, because when you study medicine, they know very well how to save lives, but they don't know how to return function.
Mm-hmm.
And this is actually the answer that I received in chiropractic. The relationship between the spine and the nervous system and the brain is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, I'm a very mathematic-oriented person. And I see in the spine the geometry that creates life.
Perfect. I loved too that you said he gave your life back to you and you wanted to give that gift to others. So then after you went to chiropractic college at Parker, then you went back to Israel to start serving.
Yes, because I went for my people.
Yes.
Not just to be a chiropractor somewhere. I wanted to get back to Israel and to give this present to the fellow people in Israel.
Yes, that's really beautiful. It really speaks of, how you're serving from the heart as well. That it is a job, it is a career, but you're actually doing it as a service and as a gift. And that's really beautiful. I wanted to know, tell us more. You have been there for 27 years serving. How many other chiropractors are there around you?
So there are 150 chiropractors in Israel for a population of 10 million. So we can use some more chiropractors. And actually, until 10 years ago, I was the president of the Israel Chiropractic Society.
Okay.
So I am very involved. And I think I love contributing, and I love, whenever chiropractors come and they want to go to study chiropractic, I invite them to my office to spend a day or two, whatever they want with me. I think it's wonderful that younger people want to go in this direction.
Mm-hmm.
I think that we have a very special gift to give to the world, because actually we can heal people. We can really heal people. We can get their function back without chemicals. All we need to do is to move the spine, to adjust the spine. There's a lot of games that I play with the words, like the subluxation is basically it's a less life condition that is created by the spine.
Yes.
Where the lifeline goes from the brain to the body. And then we do the adjustment. We add a little force that the body can use to help it regain the body is always perfect. And innate is always perfect.
Yes.
And the body has this power always inside of him. And actually, the more we suffer, the more we're in pain, it means that we are closer to our internal power, the innate. And when we adjust it, we help to straighten up the power so the body can use it to heal itself. We don't really do anything. We don't heal. It's not the chiropractor who heals. It's the body. After the adjustment, the body has the power to do the right job. And that's, I think it's a great position to be in.
It is. So I know a lot of times chiropractors talk about different stressors, like how did we get this state of less light? And we talk about, emotional stressors, physical stressors, chemical stressors. And being in Israel, being in the Middle East, I'm sure that's just a high stress environment a lot of times. Explain a little bit on this, how chiropractic is helping people who are in such stressed states.
So actually, if we look at how the spine developed, so the thing that kind of hurts us the most are the thoughts or the thoughts that we have. And this began basically from day one, and we don't really consider it. We know to speak of the psychosomatic power, but we don't know where the psychosomatic connects. And it connects in the spine. And even, if we think of a certain function that is related to this or that vertebra. So on one side, we have the organ. On the other side, we have the brain. And the spine connects the brain to the organs. So once we release the pressure and we enable the body to work better, to activate its organ better on one side, on the other side, it improves the brain function. And when we have less stress, the brain works a lot better. We cannot change the stress. Even if I'll try very hard, I will not be able by myself to stop the war in Israel. Crazy situation that we live in. But when we have less subluxation, we have more ability to cope with all the stressors around us.
Mm-hmm. Yes, perfect. I love to ask chiropractors, how do you fill yourself back up? What are things that you do to cope, to be ready to serve?
First, I think of what we can do and not on what I don't have much influence on. And so I think every day basically on how I adjust the world and humanity through every spine that I adjust. I adjust the one person, but this one person is basically, we are all connected. The spine of one person, but we also all together, we have the spine of humanity.
Yes.
And I love to think of how I improve humanity. So I think of, adjusting one person and 10 people and 100 people and 1,000 people and 10,000 people. And I go like this until I get to 10 million people, which are the people in the world. And so I think of how I adjust, let's say, the influential people in Israel, the government in Israel, and how I adjust the government in Palestine, because even that we don't like each other and we fight, we still have to live together. We are all part of humanity. So when I want good, it's not only for myself, I think of the other people. And if we will have somehow, we'll be able to work things out, we will all live better.
Yes.
And if you remember, BJ spoke of if we adjust all the people, we will get the prisons empty. So if we can get the prisons empty, we can influence the politician in Israel and in Palestine and wherever. And like this go, I think of the people in Israel, in the Middle East, in Asia, in America, in Europe, in Africa, in Australia, humanity.
Yes.
So I adjust 10 millions every day. 10 million.
Absolutely. I love that perspective. My children were doing a project and they were talking about the biblical story of Joseph and the thought of, this one person, this one man being faithful and how he influenced, just like you're saying, how his faithfulness, him being in alignment with his source, he influenced not just the people around him when he was in prison, his jailer, but then how it impacted the Pharaoh and how then that impacted all of the people of Egypt and then all of Joseph's family because of that one person. So yes, that's a beautiful thought. I think too, if I just compare my family, if I am well adjusted, how that affects my children, how that affects their teachers, how it affects my husband, because if I'm adjusted, I might be a little bit kinder, a little bit more gracious. And then my husband is a firefighter paramedic, so he goes and serves people in our community. So if he is well at home, he will go out and serve better and in a more aligned, centered way. So what a beautiful way to say that. You adjust 10 million, you adjust humanity.
And especially the women in the family are the most important part of the family, because the women, the mothers, the wives, are kind of hold all the family together. They take care of the children and they take care of the husband. And without the females, without the women, the family will break apart. So this is like, if you think of your best possible patient. So I think mostly it's the women in the family.
I agree. And I think that that's good. And I think too, that that's partly why I want to do a podcast like this as we're telling stories. I think stories are something that women can connect with emotionally. I think we all do. But I loved the thought that I don't always have time to read as a mother of a family, but there's always times where I'm driving to something, where I'm cooking, where I can listen to something, where I can listen to a story. So I love this idea that we can be sharing here today for all of the busy people who might be driving or cooking or getting ready or whatever they might be doing.
Great, yes.
So I did want to ask, you have a unique perspective as well in that you lived in the U.S., but I wondered, what is something that you wish more American chiropractors realized after all these decades of service?
The truth is that the great thing about our profession is there are many perspectives. When I first came to Israel, I was part-time in the second biggest hospital in Israel. So I love the fact that we can work with medical people and we can be chiropractic. Like today, I'm a lot more straight than I used to be at that time. But it's great that we can change our perspective and we can serve the different kinds. And I still love the chiropractors who work in the hospital and the chiropractors. There are chiropractors who are much more into nutrition and into pediatrics, into children, because we have a great vision. And a great population that I love is the elder people, because the population in all the world is getting older. It's easier to think of the children, but if like in Italy, there are a lot less children and the older population is getting older and older. And what we can do, older people always complain. They say, I feel young in my head. I think like a child, but my back, actually, they say that their back stops them. Their back is not moving right. And that's what we can do. We can adjust the bones, we can move the back and get them back into life. So we have a great future that we can influence, because the thing is, I'm 59 years old. And basically, when people in my age, or when they get to 45, 50, and they go to medical doctors, all they hear is, it's your age and there's nothing we can do. Well, there's a great thing that chiropractors can do and actually come to me with the most complicated problem, because we can help.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So this is my great vision.
Yes. And that is so true. I have heard also other countries like Japan, the population of older people is rising as well. It's a great reminder. I love the thought too, if someone in their middle ages just started chiropractic care, to live well, like you said, 45 and 50, if they start to take a little bit better care of themselves, if they start to realize we aren't supposed to be breaking down and falling apart at these young ages. This is common, but it's not what's normal. It's not how God designed us. This is not meant to be like this. There's a dysfunction there.
What?
And like you said, they have this healing power inside.
And we need our spine in the first 120 years. After that, I'm not sure what's happening at 121. I didn't know. I did not meet many people older than that.
Yes, we can't get a replacement.
Yeah.
So I love all of this, and I love that, you started out with your story as a teenager and that you were called to be a chiropractor. I love that you're also sharing it for a next generation to have more chiropractors in the world. Like when I look at the population of the world and see how many places don't have anybody at all to serve them, I think it's an exciting time for young people. My daughter went with me to a chiropractic conference last month, and she's 13, and she was especially listening to women speakers and women chiropractors who were sharing. And my daughter at 13 was like, She goes, how long does it take to become a chiropractor? And I was like, it doesn't take that much time. Like, you're 13. You can start thinking towards this and moving towards that. Like, compared to, like you said, 27 years in practice, a little bit of time to learn and grow. So thank you for sharing all of this. Is there anything else that you would really like to share, that things that you wish people would know?
Actually, these things that you're talking about, the contribution that women have to chiropractic is amazing. And it starts right from the beginning, because there was this Dr. Paxton at the very beginning of chiropractic. And then there was Dr. Mabel Parker and Dr. Jenny Ohm that I got to meet personally. And women chiropractors are connecting much easier to the females in the family, to women, because there's kind of the talk between women, and women know each other. They know how women think. So I think they have a great influence, and I love the fact that in this profession, women are just as good or better than men.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story today, and thank you so much for being here on the podcast with me.